For those who I haven't met yet, my name is Father Jonathan Torres. Over the next year, I'll be in residence here at Sacred Heart, working on 2 writing projects. I've been ordained for 5 years now, having served the past 4 years as a chaplain at Charlotte Catholic High School. I look forward to getting to know as many of you as possible during my time here, so please keep me in your prayers and be assured that I'll be praying for all of you as well. Tonight we celebrate the solemnity of the Assumption of Mary. This solemnity is centered on the truth that our Blessed Mother, after she passed away, was assumed both body and soul into heaven. Now, some Eastern Catholic traditions hold that she actually did not die, but rather was assumed into heaven while she was asleep. Either way, the fundamental idea here is that Mary's physical body was assumed into heaven to join her Son, who years earlier had ascended into heaven in both body and soul as well. In the 20th century, Pope Pius XII declared that Mary's Assumption is part of the Church's deposit of faith. In other words, the Assumption of Mary is not simply a nice devotion that we can take or leave. It is something that all Catholics must believe in. However, that's not to say that the Church pulled this idea out of thin air. In fact, you can trace the Assumption of Mary all the way back to early Christianity. Within Western art, the Assumption is a major subject, with the earliest images being found inside a crypt in a church in Spain, dating back to the 300s. Now, I think the natural question to all this is why? Why did Pope Pius XII deem it so important to raise this truth about Mary to the level of dogma? On the face of it, it seems that this dogma about Mary has no impact on the way we live out our faith. Why is this solemnity so important to us? To answer this question, we need to look at the cultural context of when this truth was elevated to the level of dogma. The year was 1950. That means the Assumption of Mary gained a dogmatic nature in the wake of 2 world wars and during the start of the Cold War. The 20th century was a time when the dignity of the human body was under attack. Any history textbook will prove that to you. Thus, the fact that Pope Pius XII preached to the world that Mary's body was so dignified that it was worthy of being assumed, at the same time in history when the dignity of the human body was being undermined, is no accident. This solemnity that we celebrate tonight reaffirms that our bodies are not disposable, and what we do with them truly matters. And here we begin to see why this solemnity is so important to our daily lives. It reassures us of the truth that it's not just our souls that are to be respected, but our bodies as well. In fact, it's wrong to think of ourselves as having 2 disconnected parts, where our souls are good and our bodies are evil. That's a dualism that the Church has never endorsed. Our bodies and souls exist united in one person. And the way we treat ourselves as a whole speaks to the way we understand just how much dignity we have. Back in Genesis, from the beginning of time, God looked at all he had created, all the material world, and saw that it was good. To disregard our bodies is to disregard God's creation. In the end, we as Catholics believe that all bodies shall rise from the dead and endure for all eternity. We all claim this truth every Sunday when we recite the Creed. We declare together, we believe in the resurrection of the dead and the life of the world to come. Meditating on the solemnity of Mary's Assumption today will help us remember just how dignified we are, that we are made in the image and likeness of God, and are thus all worthy of the utmost respect.